Back to another episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. Today we are once again gonna go. Are we doing something? Are we going ahead with something? I don't really know. I really don't. Have I finished it up? I think I have. Yeah, I have. So we might actually start with something new. Let's have a look at the netaliation.com site, and I'm gonna show you as well. There we go. I should probably. Well, let's do it like this actually. And like that, like this, like that, and like these and those and whatever. And then it should be rather fine. I hope, at least. I think it is okay. It's good. It's not perfect, but it is good. Let's have a look. Aphorisms, biography, business, college, communication, copywriting, decision making, dog training, entrepreneurship, fiction, finance, fitness, health. Again, health. So maybe there's actually something new in the health department. Straight Dope on Cholesterol by Peter Attia. A multi-part series on what you should know about cholesterol may as well be a short book, so I take notes on it as if it were one. Enjoy. The Art of Fermentation by blah 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 blah. A fantastic intro to fermentation that helped me get started making some sauerkraut, kombucha, fermented chili peppers, and a lot more. A fascinating history of how the Sackler family created a modern opiate epidemic. Own the Day, Own Your Life by Andrew Marcus. Do I know this book? Yes, I know this book. But I think it was a good book. This just reminds me of Best Book Bits, which is another site that I've really enjoyed so far in the past few months, years of doing the podcast. Because period. Because it is amazing, because you can get a lot of information from them. They are free and also fairly accessible. Categories, there we go. Let's actually head through health again. Let's see if there's something new in the health department, because most often there's just some really bullshitty things, especially when it is about health. I don't know why this is the case. I don't know why so often the health section of websites is utter bullshit, but anyway. Food Fix, How to Save Your Health, Our Economy, Our Communities, and Our Planet by Mark Heyman. Fast Asleep, How to Get a Really Good Night's Rest. The Fast 8000, Rapid Weight Loss and Intermittent Fasting. Not a diet book. 100 Million Years of Food, Stephen Lee. This is actually very interesting. This is very interesting. And it apparently is also fairly long. Yeah, let's actually head through this one. I don't know what to get out of it. I don't know if it is any good. But anyway, is this actually big enough? Could be a bit bigger. Could it? So let's actually make it a bit bigger. There we go. I think this should be, this is nice. This is really nice, besides the fact that the bar is way too big. So let's do it like this, maybe. Well, anyway, it is what it is. 100 Million Years of Food by Stephen Lee. Have you ever wondered why diet-related diseases plague the Western world? More people today suffer from obesity, food allergies, many forms of cancer, and type 2 diabetes than ever before. It seems something is just not right about our eating habits, but now what is wrong with how we're eating now, and figuring out what should we be doing instead of is difficult. The good news is we may find a few answers to this question from the way our ancestors ate. The last decade has witnessed a major uptick in caveman or diets. After all, our forebeams were generally much healthier than modern day humans. I'm sorry, forebearers. Well, I kind of doubt that, to be honest. Have they really been that healthy? You know? Didn't they really have any diseases and whatnot? I know. And then why did they die like age 60? And we're living up to whatever. You know, of course, medicine, which might be good enough to, and this is just a thought of mine, might be good enough to compensate for our really fucked up diet habits. But who knows? I don't fucking know. But yeah. So we are trying to duplicate that. This book discusses whether the dietary choices of these distant progenitors would work for us today. We have to go a long ways back in time, starting 100 million years ago with our earliest tree-dwelling ancestors. By exploring how these forebears adapted to changing environments and diets, we get a full picture. What I do not like is that this is way too big. There we go. On this exciting journey, though, the evolution of humanity, you'll learn. Bugs, why we should eat some every now and then. Milk, does it really do a body good? Plants, are they preventer of poison? Well, anyway. 100 million years of food. Key idea number 1, insects and fruits. Can you imagine if one of our ancestors walked into one of today's supermarkets, he'd be overwhelmed by the options. The difference between the dinner time options available to our Asian ancestors and the packed, brightly colored shelves of contemporary grocery stores could hardly be greater. Our earliest ancestors emerged around 100 million years ago and lived in the trees of tropical forests. They primarily ate the insects that were abundant in this habitat. Gross right, insects are actually a calorie-rich source of vitamins and iron. Which makes me say and makes me think, is this then really what we need nowadays? Insects, if they're calorie-rich, and we are already so fucking obese, and in the end it is about calories. Of course, we drink a lot of soda in general, speaking of the whole population. Also depends on where you're living and whatnot. And drinking calories or drinking your calories, I think, is the best way to gain a bunch of fucking weight. Period. On the other hand, is it then, as I said, smart to say, okay, we should eat even more calorie-rich food, or calorie-dense food, so to speak, instead of, maybe going for a bit more veggies, filling, high volume, but low calories? Anyway. Insects are actually calorie-rich sources of vitamins and iron. Although insects would still make a valuable addition to the modern human diet, to attempt to live only on bugs wouldn't be so smart. We can no longer digest chitin, which makes up the exoskeletons of insects, whereas our ancestors had enzymes that allowed them to break down this substance. Bugs can also trigger allergies and produce harmful toxins. Despite these issues, the consumption of insects in small amounts would be of great benefit to modern food production. Bugs can be farmed just like livestock and are much more efficient. Crickets convert feed into calories 12 times more efficiently than cows per pound and produce about 50% less carbon dioxide in the process. Well, the thing is, as I said before, do we really need even more calorie-dense food? I wouldn't actually say so. We're already having plenty of it. We're having plenty of fatty food. Food that is making you fucking thick. Not in a good way, though. So I do understand the debate. I do understand the whole thing. It is very efficient when you're able to produce calories very, very, very easily. And it would have been also great for our ancestors to have even more calories available because they needed it. You know, they were walking around, hunting, gathering, and whatnot, and they needed the calories. But we don't need them. So I don't know, of course, on the other hand, there might be a lot of, as I'm just reading now, vitamin C in them and iron and other things, but yeah, you know, we can get them from other sources as well. You know, we have other foods that can provide them to us. So yeah. Despite the advantages, blah, 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 blah. Despite their advantages, our ancestors began to alter their eating habits around 60 million years ago. The climate began cooling around this time as the first fruit-bearing trees emerged as the air grew more humid. Our ancestors lost the ability to synthesize vitamin C, an essential nutrient that prevents cell damage during the same period. We were able to do so. That's actually pretty amazing, isn't it? You know, being able to just produce all the vitamins you need yourself. Would make sense, you know, would be a great thing. Because they could get plenty of vitamin C from fruit, they survived this change. Our ancestors became full-time fruit eaters around 30 million years ago. Eating too much fruit can also be harmful. Fruit contains fructose, a type of sugar, which is something our body can only metabolize in limited quantities. Too much sugar can lead to conditions such as insulin resistance and pancreatic cancer. Well, this may be the case, yes, with sugar in general. But I am not too sure. I'm not too sure if you can get there by eating fruit. I don't know. I couldn't say. Couldn't tell. I kind of doubt it. Because you would have to eat really a lot of fruit. Also depends on the fruit, because, you know, some fruit contain more sugar, some fruit less. Also depends on the ripeness of the fruit, and so on and so forth. So, I am not quite sure. But in general, yes, makes sense maybe not to consume kilos of sugar. Pure. Well. Actor Ashton Kutcher discovered the danger of too much fructose the hard way. Kutcher followed Steve Jobs' fruitarian diet for a month while preparing to portray the tech CEO. Kutcher was hospitalized with pancreatic issues after just 30 days of eating in this manner. Well, I don't know if this is really only due to that, but still. 100 million years of food, key idea number 2. Meat. About 2 million years ago, our ancestors' diet changed again. They began migrating out of the trees and adopting a more terrestrial lifestyle. These early humans began hunting and foraging and eating more meat than they ever had before. They started to look more human and their brains started growing rapidly. The fatty acids in meat make it the perfect fuel for a growing brain. In fact, the size of our ancestors' brain doubled over the course of just 1 million years, a change that may well have been due to their newly carnivorous diets. With these larger brains, our ancestors derived an evolutionary advantage. More prey could be brought down by smarter, more coordinated groups of hunters, making the families more likely to survive and reproduce. Even though meat may be the reason for our evolutionary success, eating too much of it is not good for our health. We can only tolerate protein in limited quantities, and meat is loaded with it. Depends on the meat, though. Potentially toxic substances called nitrogen compounds can be produced when the body digests proteins. The levels of these compounds can get dangerously high if a person gets more than 40% of their daily calories from protein. What may this mean? 40%, let's just take 50%, which would then be for a normal man 2000 calories, 1000 calories a bit less, so let's say 800 calories of protein divided by 4. is 200 grams. May this be correct? Yes, 200 grams of protein. Well, I don't know. Is it that high? Some people say you need to eat that, especially when you're an athlete and you break down muscle and whatnot. So excess cholesterol is another reason excess meat consumption can be dangerous to our health. It can combine with our substances and clog up our substances and clog up our arteries. However, don't think cholesterol is all bad. Essential sex hormones like testosterone and estrogen are built from cholesterol. It's also good for our moods because it increases the level of high density lipoprotein or HDL. Most of the body's cholesterol is produced by our liver and intestines, but meat and dairy provide additional sources that affect our hormone levels. Girls on cholesterol-rich diet reach sexual majority earlier. While this means they can bear children earlier, increasing their potential number of offspring, their life expectancy is also reduced. Of the offspring, of them, well, not quite sure. On the other hand, this may actually also mean being more mature earlier, having your, I think it is also called menopause in English, earlier, I don't know. But yeah, a bunch of questions, a bunch of thoughts. But with that being said, I'm gonna end the episode there. Wish you the best and see you soon. Bye-bye.